Welcome. It's Alanna Kaivalya here with you, and I'm very excited to be presenting today's workshop topic or masterclass topic or webinar topic. I don't know what everybody's calling these kinds of things these days, but regardless, this is a live broadcast and it is designed specifically for the incredible women inside of my Satisfied Women community, which is our private community. This is our place to talk about all of the things that are most important to us. So, I'm very pleased to be here. This is actually the first time that I'm using a live room like this. Normally, when I go live inside of the community, I just go live as like a big broadcast. So, hopefully, everybody can find their way in here. I see that Allah is here. Is that how you pronounce your name? I think that you can give me a little heads up in the chat. Let me know that you're here. And as people start joining and coming in, please tell me that you are here and say hello. Yay! Awesome. Glad that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in. This is recorded, so people who aren't able to make the live can jump in later and watch the recording. For those of you that don't know me and that I haven't met before or who have just joined my community, my name is Alanna Kaivalya. I'm the founder of thesatisfiedwoman.com and the Satisfied Woman app. And I'm the author of The Way of the Satisfied Woman. And this is really the culmination of about 20 years of deep study, research, doctoral work, living life as a woman. And I'm very pleased to be presenting this book and to finally have it out. It came out last November, which is pretty crazy timing if you think about it. So all of the work that we do here in The Satisfied Woman is really based off of the book and an outgrowth of the book. And it is my deep honor and privilege to be able to talk to women like all of you about what is so important to us and to make our lives better and to find true, clear pathways to satisfaction. Because as a woman, there are many, many ways to be satisfied, but this world wasn't built for us. It wasn't built for us to be satisfied. It wasn't built with us in mind. It wasn't built with our strengths in mind. It wasn't built to honor and cherish who we are. So we have to do a little updating and retrofitting and a little bit of feisty fighting for our well being and our satisfaction in this world. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish we had, a world where we could all simply be safe and secure and happy and satisfied. But it's going to require a little extra work for us. Now, the good news is that we are living in a time and a place where we have more choices and more agency than we've ever had before, and probably more so right now, even than in the last 20 years. So we actually have the options and the choices and the ability to move into a life that is more satisfying to us. We just need to know how. And that's really what I do when I work with women one on one as a personal coach. That's what I do when I put out a course. I've got several online courses on this work. And that's what I do inside the community and everything, my podcast, all of it. So I'm here to help you all become more satisfied. And one of the big things that I run into is kind of a first barrier for many women that I work with. And it's why I'm doing this workshop topic today. I actually have a course on this as well. And I discuss this with women in my private coaching scenarios too. That since the world isn't built for us, there are a lot of insidious ways that our culture, the patriarchy, actually put us down and don't really serve us and don't really see us, and it diminishes our ability to show up in life and to truly be who we are. So what I'm going to do in this workshop today is contextualize some of the very common ways that the patriarchy keeps us down or puts us down, so that we can reclaim our power around it and start to understand and own our greatest gifts as women. Alaa, I'm just seeing your name pronunciation. Thank you for clearing that up for me. It's a beautiful name, by the way, so I'm so glad you're here. All right, let me pull up my notes because I want to make sure I um, get to all of the high points for this. All right, here we are. So there are 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, there are 5 primary ways I've identified that. Oh, that's my small dog, Roxy. I hope you heard her. She's saying hello. There's 5 primary ways I've identified that the patriarchy used to keep us down or diminish us, or to, as I like to say, put us on our back foot. When When we're off guard, when we're not being heard or seen, it's a way for others to take away our agency and to disempower us. And anytime we're disempowered, we're actually not in our prefrontal cortex. We're not in our most empowered, decision making, enabled thinking state. And it causes us to make decisions that maybe aren't in our highest interest. And I'll talk about the power of decision making for a woman here in a moment, too. So, the 5 things that I've identified are the biggest ways that we'll just call it like it is, the patriarchy and those who buy into it diminish us are by calling us crazy. That is definitely the biggest one. By calling us bitchy, pushy, high maintenance, and bossy. So, what I want to do now is unpack each of these 5 things to talk about when they come up for us as women and what they're actually negating in us that is a powerful force. The reason these are so commonly leveraged against women is because we have intrinsic power that scares them, that scares the world, that if we were in our full power, we would topple the patriarchy in favor of something else. 2 key qualities of the patriarchy are control and power over others. So if they don't have control or power over us, the patriarchy ceases to exist. And for those that have been indoctrinated into it, which is pretty much everybody who's been raised in this culture, um, that can be scary, right? That can be scary. Now, what I want to make sure that I do as well before I start to unpack these 5 things is to name that not everyone in this culture is against us, and certainly not all men. I'm not one of these women who is vilifying men or calling men the problem. I don't like the term toxic masculinity. I think toxic is a word that indicates that something can't be changed. I think men are great, and there are actually a lot of men these days doing their own work in order to get more clearly into the healthy masculine. I'm incredibly proud of that. And in fact, one of the reasons why I felt compelled to write the book was because so many men are doing the work, but there aren't really groups of women like us leaning into this work and doing this work and taking this power and choice and agency that we have right now and really turning it into something that works for us. So, we're not here to vilify anybody. We're here to simply recognize that this patriarchal culture we all exist in sometimes causes people to behave badly. And I'm hoping that through this workshop and unpacking these 5 common areas, not only can you start to see where your power actually lies when you hear those things, but what this other person is afraid of and how we can actually create deeper connection as a result. Because regardless of our gender, regardless of our polarity, we as human beings are all deeply wanting connection. We want connection to others. We want to be in partnership. We want to be in relationship. One of the primary things that I work with my private coaching clients is actually on relationship. High powered, successful, incredible women just like you want to have deep connection in relationship. And that seems to sometimes be difficult to find or even off the table because of the way our patriarchal structure works. And we, even as women, don't know how to navigate it. So I unpack these terms a lot with ladies. I recognize the need for relationship and partnership. That is how we as human beings, all human beings, thrive. So it's incredibly important. All right. So I'm going to take a quick sip of coffee. And as I go through these 5 things, please feel free to put questions in the chat. I have it open here. I can actually see that so we can have a nice interaction. One of the benefits of using this community to go live in is that it's a safe space. This is just for us. So go ahead and put some questions in there if you have any, and I'll be happy to answer them. All right, so first, we're going to dive into crazy. So crazy, I find, it's like the go-to for people who are scared of a woman's emotions. It's the first thing they leverage against them. I mean, I'm leaning in close, guys, because I've witnessed on so many occasions, even husbands who truly love their wives call them crazy, with my own eyes in the presence of other people. The wife has a distress, she's enraged about something, or she's upset about something, and she's immediately dismissed by her partner with things like, oh, she's just acting crazy, or directly, you're being crazy right now, or things like, oh, well, she's starting her period tomorrow, or she must be on her period, oh, that's just PMS, as if any of that negates the very valid experience of a woman's emotions. It doesn't. All right. So when it's usually men, but women can call each other crazy too. So whoever it is that is calling us crazy, when we're having an emotional response, a distress response, they're simply unable to handle or contain that stress response, and they just want to shut it down. That stress response, that emotion is scary to them. And if they're in a distorted masculine polarity, okay, and I'm not using toxic, because toxic would mean we can't fix it, it's just poison, we don't want it. Distortion means they're not leaning into their healthiest masculine either. They can, if they choose to, if they have the wisdom to do it, no problem. But if they're in a or a distorted masculine, then what they believe is that rational thinking is so much more superior to emotional or intuitive thinking and decision making. It's not. Rational thinking and logic is a healthy masculine principle, and emotional depth and intuition is a healthy feminine principle. Now, we, even as women, have been raised and lied to about this. We even are raised to think that our emotions should be dismissed, that they should be mitigated in favor of rational thinking, which is yet another way this culture convinces us to don the mask of the masculine. And if we're truly feminine women, the donning of that mask of the masculine is heavy, it's burdensome, it leads to burnout, it's incredibly stressful, and I can go on and on about the incredible detriments of stress, right? Stress produces high cortisol, it dysregulates your nervous system, it gets you out of your prefrontal cortex, it increases your risk of heart disease. I mean, stress, it affects your sleep cycles. We don't want to be stressed out. And if we're really going to boil it down, the primary stress of a feminine woman in this day and age can all be kind of boiled down to this donning of the mask of the masculine, this wearing of a coat of armor that doesn't belong to us. That our world has tricked us into saying, oh, in order to get around, we have to be strong, we have to think rationally, we have to armor up, we have to man up for the world. So we've been tricked to think that our emotional responses aren't valid. We've been tricked to think that we need to repress them, or that we need to sugarcoat them for our delicate counterparts because they can't handle it. Well, let me tell you something, ladies. Since this is a safe space and the place where I can speak freely, the healthy masculine is designed to be present and weather the emotional reactions of the healthy feminine. They're not doing their job if they're dismissing us. If they can't handle and be like the mooring post in the middle of a crazy emotional storm, they're not in their healthy masculine. In fact, when they shut down the feminine emotion in us, when they try to repress that or dismiss it or ignore it altogether, what that tells me is that not only are they in their distorted masculine, they might also be in their feminine. Then their delicate emotions can't handle what's coming up for us, and so they just don't want to hear it. So here's the thing. Here's the real truth, ladies. Our emotional depth and our intuition are our two greatest superpowers as feminine women. There is nothing more powerful than those two items, because through our emotional connection and through our intuitive knowing, we're able to make decisions about our life and the world around us in a different way than rational thinking. Okay, rational thinking isn't always the pathway forward. We've been taught to believe that it is because we're in a patriarchal culture that values masculinity more than it does femininity. But even the patriarchy gets masculinity wrong. Even the patriarchy isn't doing masculinity well, it's doing a disservice to that. So think about in your life, right? And really think about it. I mean this seriously. Think about in your life anytime you've overridden your intuition, anytime you've rationally thought your way through to some other decision than what your intuition is saying, it never works out. It never works out. And the thing is, we can't know that through rational thinking. We can only know that through our intuition. So, following our intuition, listening to our emotions is actually, especially for us as feminine women, our fastest pathway to satisfaction, joy, happiness, pleasure, connection, all of it. That's what gets us to the finish line. So to be dismissed or repressed by being called crazy, to be dysregulated by that accusation, is not only dismissive of who we are, it's actually detrimental to everyone involved. Because our intuition and our emotional depth is going to be, I like to call it like the canary in the coal mine. It's the canary in the coal mine. It's the way that we first know, it's our first inkling that something's amiss. And you know, ladies, you know, as women, when we feel that sense of discomfort within us, when our intuition is saying, don't go down that road, when our emotions are kicking up and we can't really get to a stabilized place again because our emotions are saying this doesn't feel right, that's anybody's first indication that change is required. It's the canary in the coal mine. And the story of the canary in the coal mine is that miners brought a canary down because those delicate little lungs would notice the soot and pour air first and it would die. And then the miners, who are oblivious to these kinds of things, would go, oh my God, we need to get out. This is the power of feminine emotion and intuition. Okay, everyone in our space benefits from it. Because for a woman, we're not happy when other people are also not happy and uncomfortable, right? But we, as the inquisitors, as the truth seekers, we're the ones who will speak up about it first. So when someone shuts our voice down by calling us crazy, it's to everyone's detriment. So what we want to first recognize is that when someone is calling you crazy girl, you are doing something right. Okay? I want you to take that back. When someone says you're crazy, are you on your period? Is it PMS? Just recognize they are in a masculine distortion. They're not seeing you, and you are absolutely in your feminine power for having this emotion or intuitive reaction. And you need to follow it. You need to follow it regardless of what they say. You need to follow it in the best way you can because ultimately they will benefit from it, but you are my most important priority. So you will benefit for it. And so I'm speaking directly to you. You must follow it. You must recognize that the crazy is not about you. It's not about you at all. It's about them. Own your emotion, own your intuition in the healthiest way possible, and follow it because everyone will benefit. When our emotions and intuitions stir up and say something's not right here, it needs to change, women are not afraid of change. Women are like sailors. Women actually make the best sailors, by the way. My sailing instructor used to say that to me all the time. And it's because we are more attuned with nature. We're able to go with the flow. We're able to do the sailor's thing of tacking back and forth and go in a nonlinear way to get to a destination. That is our wheelhouse. Okay? So everyone is better off when we do that. So that's crazy. That's number one. All right. Number two on my list, let me go back and check. The next thing I want to unpack for us today is bitchy. Okay. So, bitchy is what we are called, or you are being a bitch, or whatever it is what we are called when we are protesting bad behavior. So, typically, this comes from men. Men have had carte blanche to be able to really act and behave in whatever way that they want. And the culture often dismisses it. Oh, that's just locker room talk. Oh, boys will be boys. It's not our responsibility to absorb the bad behavior of other people. It's not our responsibility to make that okay. So if there is bad behavior, if someone is treating us badly, we're not being unreasonable. We're actually protecting our boundaries. Bad behavior is going to try to run right over our boundaries. And I want to take a quick aside and define boundaries for the feminine woman. We talk a lot about boundaries today. I mean, look, if you're in this community with me, I'm sure that you are a lady who does the work, has likely done self help courses or therapy or something like that. And so you've heard about boundaries. It's a very pop culture thing right now, boundaries, but it's a very simple definition. For the woman, for the feminine woman, a boundary for you is a clear yes or a clear no. And again, you're going to feel that. So much of who we are and what we do in this life is based on feeling. Okay, when it feels right for us, it likely will be. When it feels wrong for us, it absolutely is wrong for us. Okay, so when you have that sense of a clear no, don't logic your way through it and be like, oh, but I really should. I have a really wonderful private coaching client right now, and we're working very intensely on her marriage. She's been in a very long-term marriage. It's a very unhappy one. She's not being cherished. And it's been there's been so much bad behavior that she's losing that connection with her clear boundaries, and she's failing to speak up about it. When you don't understand what your clear no and clear yes are, that's really where we need to start. So when you feel that clear yes, when you feel that clear no, I love working with women on getting more clarity around that and then giving tools for how to actually speak up about your boundaries and enforce them. Because boundaries are like they're not even useful unless they're being enforced by us, and we are the ones who do the enforcing. We can name the boundary, and then we need to honor it or have it be honored, and if it's not honored, then we find a different space or situation. So when there's bad behavior, when someone is criticizing us in a way that doesn't feel good, when someone is behaving in a way that feels like betrayal, when someone is doing something that makes you feel disconnected or left out, it is absolutely reasonable to say something, to speak up about it. And if they don't like that you're challenging that bad behavior, perhaps they've never been challenged before. I have a very good friend who's in a marriage with a man who was the firstborn in a family whose culture really prizes that firstborn status and has let him get away with everything. Everything. He's never challenged. And the first thing that happens, I see it all the time, when he's challenged, when you say, hey, buddy, like, that comment actually hurt, he'll immediately dismiss it. So this is a really common thing. Again, I'm seeing it all the time, especially with the women that I work with. I've seen it in my own life, I write about it in the book. When we see bad behavior, it is absolutely our right to challenge it. When they don't like that challenge, we get called bitchy. We're just being bitches. Well, that's how again, right? Normally that kind of accusation being leveraged against us will dysregulate us. It's going to take us out of our prefrontal cortex. It's going to diminish our ability to be in a decision making process. By the way, that effect, that dysregulating out of our prefrontal cortex effect, it's called by I can't remember which psychologist. I think it's Harville Hendrix of imagotherapy calls it flipping your lid, where you get out of your prefrontal cortex and you go back into your limbic system. It puts you actually into a fight or flight panic mode, which makes it very effective for other people to control us, which is never a good thing. It's one of the brilliant ways that the patriarchy has had so much control over the feminine for literally thousands of years. And interestingly enough, that idea, that getting out of our prefrontal cortex, dysregulated state, flipping our lid, however you want to talk about it, that's one of the effects of things like PTSD. That's how PTSD holds people emotionally hostage. This is not good. Again, it increases stress, which is going to increase cortisol, which is going to increase your cardiovascular risk. Like, we've got to get out from under bitchy, crazy. So when someone's calling you bitchy, it means that they're not willing to actually take responsibility for their behavior. But when you go ahead and set your boundaries, when you get that clear no, like, no, it is not okay for you to speak to me that way. When you set those clear boundaries, you are stepping into your power. You are stepping into your feminine power as a woman, and you'll know that. Okay. Bitchy is now a trigger word for you to be like, aha, clear boundary here. I'm in my power. I'm doing something right. It's no longer a reason to shift your behavior, and it is certainly not a reason to continue to allow bad behavior to perpetuate around you, because that's just going to break you down even further in a way that you can't tolerate. So most of the women that I work with, they encounter these kinds of things with their intimate partners. And look, that sucks. I mean, and that's a knowing laugh, by the way. I've been there. I have been in toxic relationships, abusive relationships. I had a lot of significant abuse as a child with my parents and my upbringing. So I understand this. I don't come at this just from an academic perspective. I didn't get the PhD in a vacuum. I do this work because I have lived this work. I have lived this work, and I know the suffering caused by having people who are close to you, people who are supposed to love you, use these words. So, what I want to do as I'm talking through this, right? We've gotten through crazy and bitchy, is to just reassure you that number one, there are people out there who don't do this and who don't use these words. We love them. But there are also people out there who've grown up in this culture just like we have. And I like to think of it as improper training. They were improperly trained. So they have thought for all this time that words like crazy, bitchy, pushy, bossy are acceptable. But if there is love there and a desire to be a better human, then unfortunately, we need to do some training. And I'm a little resentful of it, if I'm perfectly honest, that weight falls on the shoulders of women like you and I, right? I would like to not do so much emotional labor in this lifetime. But the fact is, if you and I are doing this work and we learn, here are acceptable pathways, here is acceptable dialogue, here is what you can do if you're flooded by my emotional flooding. If we give them those tools, then we take that improper training and give them the support and the training that they need to treat us well, because the people who love us will. The people who love us will evolve, but we need to provide the structure. I'm sorry. I wish I could do it for you. I wish they could just do it for themselves. But this is the world we live in. We'll just give everybody a little bit of grace. They've all been raised in this scenario, and we'll hopefully give them the opportunity to step up and in to being our cherishing masculine partner or our beloved feminine friend, whoever they are. We're going to give them the opportunity in the best way possible, before we just call it quits. I find people today are very quick to pull the plug on other humans. And while there are absolutely reasons to do that, and trust me, I have advocated for that on many occasions, not just for myself, but for dear friends and coaching clients, sometimes it's okay to walk through the fire a little bit and do the work with someone, especially if there is love there. All right, next on our list is pushy. Okay, so pushy comes from timing, and I love this discussion. I'm thinking a lot about that these days, actually. So women born in this delightful female body, we simply are subject to time. We have time constraints. Men don't have that. Their bodies don't have those time constraints. Men can start a career at any time. Men can have a family at any time. Men can go back and forth between the two at any time. We live by a very strict clock. We have a very determined period at which we are able to start a family. We, every 28 days, have a hormonal fluctuation that actually determines like the qualities of our brain and the things that we focus on, and we're subject to that, we have timing. And so one of the powerful feminine statements, there's two. One, the most powerful feminine statement is no. Okay? Masculine powerful the powerful masculine statement is yes. The powerful feminine statement is no. So I want us to all get comfortable with no, more no. That's why I have say no Sundays in this community, by the way. On Sundays, I want you to say no to something so that you can say yes to yourself. Okay? The other powerful statement of the feminine is when. When? You say you're going to do this? When? And when you issue that when you issue that timing request, that accountability request, there's often pushback. And we're called pushy as a result. So if you're told that you're pushy, you're simply requesting accountability. You're asking for the actions and the words to align, especially from those that seem like they're avoiding that responsibility. Pushy actually gets things done, though. That's the thing. Pushy creates accountability, and when people hold themselves to that accountability, shit gets done. I'm all in favor of shit getting done. And look, I spent more than 20 years in the yoga and spiritual industries. Okay? And in that industry, there's a lot of something called spiritual bypassing, which means that you kind of wear the cloak of spirituality to make it look like you're doing the work, but you're not actually diving deep and doing the work. And one of the things that I saw a lot in that world, and I mean in any world really, I don't mean to put it on that world solely, but in any world, is this idea of like, oh, let's just relax and it'll come, and be patient. Well, my favorite definition of patience is the art of masking impatience. Because frankly, nobody has patience. Everybody wants things now. Look at the world we live in. We don't even have the attention span to watch an entire movie anymore. We want things now, and that demand, that timeliness, that accountability is deeply feminine, and it gets things done. Think about it. If a woman is having a baby, there is a very, very strict timing for that. I have a good friend who's a midwife, and she can look on the ultrasound, and just through her measurements, she knows exactly how old that baby is. And we can plot exactly the date that that baby will arrive on this planet. The lady can't go, oh, you know what? It'll happen in good time. You know what? I'll have it when I'm ready. Our world, our physical bodies don't work that way. So it is no wonder that we're asking for high level accountability from everyone around us. That's pushy, and pushy gets things done. So the next time someone calls you pushy, understand that what they're doing is trying to not be accountable, which could be a red flag, right? But what you're doing is trying to hold them accountable, which is in alignment with integrity, and it's in the highest expression of you as a feminine woman. Okay, so it means you're doing something right. Okay, so pushy is your feminine power. Bitchy is your feminine power. Crazy is your feminine power. All right, let's get to number 4. Bossy. Okay, bossy is another one, because women are often conditioned to be diminutive or subservient. I mean, I'm 44 years old, and I even remember as a child being told that little girls should just smile and look pretty. You know, they're prettier when they're seen and not heard. Like that whole idea that women should just shut up, frankly. And that's another one that we hear a lot is shut up. Don't use your voice. So this one really speaks to that. This bossy idea, this idea that women can exercise agency. When we exercise our agency, ladies, it means we're tapping into our creativity, and that has life-changing and world-changing results. Think about it. We as feminine women, whether we have babies or not, whether we procreate or not, we are the harbingers of creativity. We have the power to create something from almost nothing. All of us does. And that doesn't mean just the power of creating a tiny human from our egg. Some of us will choose to not be mothers. Some of us will choose to not get pregnant. Some of us will choose to not have a family. That doesn't take away any ounce of our feminine creativity. We can create a book just from some words. We can create a business. This is like the cornerstone of abundance. And if you're a lady here watching this and you would like some abundance, this is how you do it. Abundance is the feminine in its creative flow. Abundance is the feminine in its agency, moving from her center, from her intuitive and emotional gifts. That's how we become generative. That's how we generate things that didn't exist before. Do you want a new world to live in? Because I do. Guess who's going to make that happen, ladies? You and me. But, sometimes people are stuck in the mud and they don't want you to have agency. They don't want you to have power or influence. They want to keep it. And so they'll call you bossy. So when you're called bossy, just know that you are absolutely doing something right, that you are standing in your agency, your power, you're ready to create something new and get things done. And bossy means that you are in your feminine power and they are not willing to let go of control. So, perhaps that's a red flag. Perhaps that's a reason to speak to them about it, turn that improper training into better training. What it is not is a reason to diminish your voice. Okay? Women have been doing that for far too long. So if you're a lady who feels like your voice is diminished or has been diminished, then I would love to work with you on getting your voice loud, powerful, but really also speaking to the right audience, whether that's in your career or business, whether the right audience is your beloved partner, whether the right audience is your kids, your family, whoever it is, to be able to use your voice in a powerful way. Another feminine quality is communication, connection, empathy, collaboration. And we are really like the emotional regulators of our world and our space. And we need to be able to communicate that clearly. It's so important because that's not a masculine strength. They are the doers. We are the receivers. They are the doers. We have the power to offer the direction. They take it and run with it. We need to stop doing everything for them. We're here to receive. Take that in. Imagine being a woman who doesn't do everything at all times for everyone else and herself. That is some heavy, heavy masculine armor. And I mean, if I had to name kind of the overarching bridge for the work that I do, especially with my coaching clients, it's like, let's get rid of that armor. Let's get you out from under the burnout. Let's tap into the creativity and have you be generative in the way that really feeds your soul. All right, last one here before we get to kind of a wrap up and some questions is the idea of being high maintenance or having high standards. I mean, you know, this is like, it's so complicated because the world expects women to be at a certain level. And I don't mean externally pretty, although there are some pretty heavy and, in this regard, I would say toxic ideals for what a woman should look like, culturally, wherever she is, at her age, whatever you want to, however you want to package that. It's all BS. BS means belief system. But even so, we're still expected to maintain those levels. Now, I personally, I'll speak for myself, but I have a feeling this is going to resonate with you all too. I actually like being high maintenance. I love wearing the things that make me feel good. My style is a little bit different. I'm a cowgirl at heart. I was born in Texas, raised in Colorado on horseback. So I really fold that into everything that I wear and do. And that doesn't really gel with people here in Los Angeles where I live now. There's no cowboys here, but it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. And when a woman feels good, when a woman is wearing, being, having, doing, whatever it is that makes her feel good. Okay. And they can be the things that people like often think of, like manicures and pedicures, or getting your hair done, or going to a spa day, or buying a new outfit. Women do love these things. I don't care if it's getting your toes dirty in the mud. I don't care if it's slinging hay bales for your horse in the morning. Whatever it is that makes you feel good from the inside out, that has you put on your inner vibrance, because the feminine is life energy. Okay, we are the life force of everyone around us. Everyone wants to benefit from that. Everyone wants to benefit from our life energy, but that means that they need to help us maintain it. They need to help us maintain it. Now, so much good news, you guys. We, as women of agency in this day and age, we have the power to maintain it ourselves. And that was one of my favorite retorts that I heard once about being high maintenance. Well, I'm only high maintenance if, like, it was something like, you can't call me high maintenance if I'm doing the work to maintain it myself, right? If you're depending on someone else to maintain it, maybe there's a rub there. Like maybe you need to, it could be a financial issue, it could be a timing issue, there could be some compromise. But when you get to a level of like, this is how I feel most happy, most vibrant, most comfortable, when I fold these things into my day or my lifestyle, that's where I feel like I'm in my happy place, then everyone benefits from participating in that. So, what we're asking to do is to have everybody rise up to that level with us, to meet us there. We don't want anybody to diminish our desire for excellence. We want them to be excellent with us. So when someone else is calling us high maintenance, they're not ready to help us maintain that level of excellence, and they probably don't hold themselves to their own high standard. So we'll invite them to rise up, and they either will or won't. And based on that information, we will proceed accordingly. So, those are my 5 top things that I have through my research, through my life, witnessed are leveled against women very commonly to try and dysregulate them, to try and get them to be disempowered, to try to get them to shut down. Biggest one is being called crazy, right? Which is often tied into, oh, you must be on your period, or any emotional reaction. So crazy, bossy, pushy, bitchy, and high maintenance. And ladies, I want you to own all of those qualities and start to recognize that when you are called those things, you're actually doing something right. It's actually an acknowledgement that you are in your feminine power. And through that acknowledgement, I want you to feel empowered. I'm not saying that that situation won't be difficult. It hurts. It hurts, especially when it's coming from people that we love. But if you stay in your power with these qualities, you have a greater ability to potentially shift that toxic interaction into something that is beneficial and beautiful, certainly for you, maybe also for them if they're in a position to rise up to the work, love you, cherish you, and recognize that treating you well actually makes them happy too. Because as women, the research shows, I love this research actually, the research shows that if a woman isn't happy in her environment, nobody is happy in that environment. So it's pretty critical to keep women happy, to keep women satisfied in order for everyone to benefit. So this pursuit of satisfaction for ourselves, ladies, is not a selfish pursuit. It actually benefits everyone involved. So we're here to change the world. We're here to reclaim our true power, and we're here to really understand that we are powerful beyond measure, and that this time right now is our greatest opportunity to reclaim our feminine power, stand in our agency, and rewrite the world that we want to live in. And I want to help you do it. So that is why I am here. That is what gets me out of bed in the morning. That's why I wrote the book. And that's why I want to help you, ladies, as individuals, step into your feminine power. So, as of, as of any day, but as a part of this training, as a part of this workshop, I want to invite you to join me on a discovery call, to book a discovery call and talk with me one on one. This is probably the most exciting thing I get to do. It's one thing to write a book and speak to a bunch of people, it's another thing to deliver a live broadcast and hope that people hear you. But when I can dig in and actually change the life of one woman at a time, not only can I make an incredible impact in their lives, but I know that that has a tremendous ripple effect on everyone else. We can change the lives of you together. We're going to change the lives of everyone around you. So book a discovery call with me. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. And I've got lots of availability this weekend. I have some free time at the moment, which is kind of nice, actually. I've spent the last year building this business up, and I'm finally at a point where I'm like, whew, okay, now I can talk one-on-one to women and do this work. So go ahead and book yourself a coaching discovery call with me. It's going to be 45 to 60 minutes or so where you and I are going to talk about exactly what's going on with you right now and where you are least satisfied. I want to hear exactly where you're stuck, exactly where your vibrancy is diminished, exactly where you're feeling dysregulated, and I want to get you back into your power. Now, whether that means finding the relationship that's right for you, leaving a relationship that isn't right for you, or empowering you to build a business that creates a metric ton of abundance, those are the three things I specialize most in working with women with. So book that discovery call. And again, you're here in my community, right? We've been talking about things like this. You're here in the Satisfied Women community in order to find your truer path to satisfaction. So let's hop on a call. It's no pressure. And we'll talk about how we can change your life and create a tremendous amount of impact together. So that is the scoop, everybody. Are there any questions? I've got a few minutes left here on this broadcast. I'd love to speak to anything else that you'd like me to speak about. If there was something on that list that you thought I left out, I'd love to address it for you and with you. So just let me know if you have any questions. And let me see what else can I chat about in the meantime. So I see what questions come in. I learned a long time ago that when you issue a request for questions, sometimes you just have to wait patiently. There's always a question. And if you provide enough time and a little bit of silence, then questions are, oh my gosh, Allah. Yes, you're right. You do have a call book tomorrow. Of course, I thought I had seen your name. I'm so excited to talk to you. I cannot wait to hear what's going on with you. Thank you for doing that. Oh, that was cute. Like I said, this is the first time I'm using this particular type of platform, so I didn't know you could shoot little emojis across the screen. That was fun. I can't wait to speak to you tomorrow personally. Again, I do this work on a broad scale. It's one thing to do a podcast and talk to the masses, write a book and talk to the masses, but where I think I know I can make the most impact is with you as an individual. Because look, here's the thing about women, right? We're all really unique. And what makes one woman satisfied is going to be different for another woman. And we're all at different phases of life. So we might be focused on different things. I wish, and it was a real struggle actually in writing this book. I wish I could deliver a one size fits all pathway to satisfaction. Now, look, I've got some guidelines and I've got some really strong foundational things here. Don't worry. But what we need to do, each of us as individuals, truly is find our pathway to satisfaction. I mean, even just saying that makes me take a breath. Because I'm so passionate about it. You know, women deserve to be happy. Finally. We finally deserve to be happy, and I truly want that for you. So I'll look forward to speaking with you directly tomorrow about that. Allah, thank you for booking the call. And for everyone else who's watching or who will watch the replay, I'll make sure to put the link in the notes, and I would love to speak with you. Again, like I said, I've got some time. This is the work I'm focused on doing. So let me talk to you about how I can change what's going on for you, get you over some of the challenges that you're working through, and really get you on a very clear path to true satisfaction in all areas of your life. And at the very least, I hope that this workshop today has given you some ideas of how to just deal with the world that we're in every day. Remember, this world was not built for us. I know that it wasn't built for us. It's not easy. We're women. Our choices are never easy. But I'm hoping that what I offered you today was at least a little glimmer of where you're getting it right and where you can be empowered and how you can start to shift some of those interactions so that you have more comfortable, so that you have more comfort to be free and expressing yourself exactly as you are, because you are beautiful. So with that, I'm going to close out. Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this community. I can't tell you what it means to me to have you all here and to be bringing this work to you. So let me know, as always, how I can support you, what I can do, anything else you'd like to talk about on these lives. I'm going to be doing these workshops more regularly. I have another topic already for a couple of weeks from now, but lay it on me. I'm here to support you. So chat. Ladies love to chat. Let's chat in the community. I'm excited to have you in there, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful